everyone, and welcome to T1FL War Room, proudly sponsored by Dubby. Clean, jitterless energy, cheap and affordable. Use code T1NJ at checkout for a whole 10% off your order and to help support the podcast. So getting straight into today's episode, this week was interesting, to say the very least. I don't think many people expected a lot of the outcomes that we wound up seeing this week. So let's just jump straight into the rankings. Starting from 8th place, which is the most surprising sight, is the Norman Acorns. Projected to be 15-1 the whole season, probably the #1 projection going into the league this year, managed to stumble and fall. We'll get a little bit more into that here later on, but let's just continue focusing more on the rankings. Following Norman Acorns, in 7th place is the Blonde Squad. 6th place is the Soon Boys. 5th place is the Oklahoma City Nerds. 4th place is the Sourdoughs. 3rd place is the Sussy Bakas. 2nd place is the Token Boys. And 1st place is King Boo's Army. First of all, the massive upset of the Sussy Bakas toppling the Norman Acorns because Caleb decided it would be a good idea to pick up a defense in the 3rd round of the draft, that defense being the Dallas Cowboys, which absolutely popped off. In the league this week, the Dallas Cowboys scored a total of 47.4 points. To put that into perspective with how defensive scoring works in this league, a good average is 8 to 12. So this team scored 4 to 5 times better than anything we could have projected. And we're going to see if the Dallas Cowboys can keep it up next week for the Sussy Bakas. King Boo's Army versus the Oklahoma City Nerds was projected to go pretty much 50-50, and King Boo's Army wound up being the victor in the end after the Oklahoma City Nerds seemed to just completely underperform in just about every aspect of their team. There were a couple good players in there, but it was not enough to swing the game back from the huge detriment that Christian McCaffrey caused. Christian McCaffrey scoring 47.9 points this week, absolutely popping off and basically securing King Boo's Army the win. And the other 2 games were just about as projected. The Token Boys taking down the Soon Boys, and then Summer and her Blonde Squad falling to the Sourdoughs. Switching gears now, looking at the teams as a whole to looking at the best players in each position in the league. Of the players that started, Justin Herbert was the highest scoring quarterback in the league with 25.2 points. Christian McCaffrey, we mentioned him earlier, but we have to bring him up again. Highest scoring running back with 47.9. Highest scoring wide receiver, Tyreek Hill with 48.5 points. Highest scoring tight end that started was TJ Hawkinson with 11.5. And, of course, the highest scoring defense, 3rd highest scoring position this week. A defense, the Dallas Cowboys, 47.4. But what about the top bench warmers of the week? From the Soon Boys, we've got Tua. He sat on the bench. Roger, not expecting too much to happen. He went and scored 41.8 points. And I'm pretty sure if he would have started him, that could have been the big difference in him and Token's matchup. Highest scoring benched running back was Miles Sanders with 11.8 points. Highest benched wide receiver was Mike Evans with a solid 18.6. Highest scoring tight end on the bench was Evan Ingram with 9.9. And you never hear about this, but the highest scoring benched defense, which is also the only benched defense in the league for some reason, the New England Patriots with 12.2. Now we're moving on to a segment which I like to dub, well, the biggest dub and the most upsetting fumble. The biggest dub for this week is gonna go to Token Boy and the Token Boys for gaining a 60-point lead on his opponent, scoring 177.1 to the Soon Boys 118.4. The biggest fumble, which I feel like if you were listening to any of the podcast earlier or saw the preseason special, you would know that the biggest fumble this week is the Norman Acorns. Again, projected to be first in the entire league, losing by 40 points in the first game, losing 154.2 to 117.9. Obviously, it is just the first week. Anything can still happen, but these early games can also sort of be a tone setter on how the season is going to play out. Now going to the outlooks for the week. First outlook is the Oklahoma City Nerds versus the Sourdoughs. Projected 50-50 win chance for both of them. Oklahoma City Nerds projected 163.18. Sourdoughs projected 164.39. Going over next, we've got the Norman Acorns versus the Soon Boys. Isaiah looking to take a little bit of revenge on Roger Pogger, expected to win 64% with a total of 162.41 points over 129.21. Third matchup of the week, we've got number 7 ranked The Blonde Squad versus number 1 King Boo's Army. King Boo's Army projected to win 59% with a final score of 167.04 to 143.69. And lastly, it's the matchup of the number 3 ranked Sussy Bakas versus the number 2 ranked Token Boys. Token projected to win 54% with a final score of 168.83 to 157.26. We are joined now by the owner of the Token Boys, Token Boy. Token, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great, bro. I'm a league leader of the league so far. Hopefully it stays that way.
I was about to say, you are actually second in the league, right behind King Boo's Army. Only about a 5-point difference between the two of you, though.
Oh, my bad.
All good. So, a few questions just about the upcoming game this week, and then we'll go ahead and ask a few questions about the games last week. What are your feelings about being able to beat Caleb's team, the Sussy Bakas, in week 2?
I think I'm gonna beat him, to be honest, because my team is stacked. I got Tyreek Hill. Wait, let me see who he's got real quick. I don't know his entire team.
I know that the Dallas Cowboys defense is what actually swung him the game last week. I don't know if that's something that you're necessarily worried about going into it, just because defense points fluctuate very heavily.
Yeah, so if he gets really lucky with the Cowboys defense because they're cracked, then yeah, he could easily pull out the win. But I think that this week they're not gonna do it. But that's just my opinion. That's what I think's gonna happen.
Gotcha. Now, looking at your own team, is there any players that you would potentially be considering getting rid of going forward if they might have underperformed what you were expecting? Or are you planning on holding on to the team that you have for a while?
To be honest, the only player I would consider getting rid of is T. Higgins. Because, like, last week, he scored 0. I got 0 points. He made 0 catches.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel I'm gonna see how he does in the next 2 weeks, and if he's still underperforming, I'm gonna drop him or trade him. Maybe I'll see. We'll see what happens with T. Higgins. But other than that, all my dudes are pretty good.
All right. Now, looking back to last week's matchup, you had the largest blowout victory this week with a final score of 177.1 to 118.4. Looking at your team too, pretty much nobody scored below 10 points. So, going forward, are you expecting your team to do the same, or do you think it was just luck of the draw based off of, nerves from the first week going in and the teams that they might have been facing against?
I think it's a bit in between, where maybe it was boosted a little bit by the matchups and whatnot. but I think it's still going to be really good. We're still going to score a lot of points, like maybe around the same, maybe a little less.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Hopefully, T. Higgins does good because he did horrible last week. Hopefully, I think Dalvin Cook, he didn't do that good either. He only scored he only got me 8 points. He was expected to get 11. Yeah, some red dudes underperformed, but others just went crazy. I think if the whole team could be a bit more consistent, I think we're good.
Gotcha. And then final question. Jumping forward to week 5, you are taking on the current league leader of King Boo's Army. Obviously, things can change by then. There's still 3 weeks of football between now and then. But if you guys are still the number 1 and number 2 seeded teams in the league, right now you are at a 37% chance to win. Do you think that there's a possible way that that can be turned on its head? Or are you a little bit worried going into this in week 5?
Oh yeah, I'm worried, bro. His team is a little too good for me. But he, wait, how long? How long has he been playing for fantasy? Because this is my first year. I've never
I
played fantasy
believe this is
ever.
his first year as well. A lot of people in the league are very green rookie season of fantasy football.
Okay, I still think I have a chance. I think it's not like as the percentage is a little off right now. Is what I think. It'll be a bit more closer, but I still think he has the upper hand in that matchup.
Gotcha. Well, Token, thank you for your time. Good luck in week 2 of the T1FL.
All right, thank you, man. See ya.
That does it for the first official episode of T1FL War Room. Again, I am Jacob McDaniel. I have been your host tonight. Don't forget to check out this podcast sponsor, Dubby. Go to dubby.gg, use code T1NJ for 10% off your order, and help support the podcast. You can also follow us on X for live updates of the T1FL for anything that we might not be able to cover in the weekend on this podcast. Get live updates about the league. Also, typically updates about the actual NFL. And with that, I wish you all a good evening, and here's looking forward to week 2 of the T1FL.